Police investigators in the Casey Anthony case held a press conference today to address outstanding questions from the media. They also had the chance to express their frustration with the outcome of the case and with Casey. Watch.
She never said it was an accident. That would have been her opportunity to say so had it been. And obviously we give them the ability to explain their actions, but they always can come up and say, well, this is what happened. I was just, even to this day, I'm still surprised that she just didn't come off it. She wouldn't tell us the truth, and that's all we were after was the truth. That day, this whole thing could have ended had we known the truth.
Out here to talk about this and more about the case again are Ashley Banfield, ABC News correspondent, Pat Brown, CEO of the Pat Brown Criminal Profiling Agency and the author of The Profiler, My Life Hunting Serial Killers and Psychopaths, and Gil Alba, former NYPD detective and founder of Alba Investigations. Okay, Ashley, the investigators may respect the verdict, but they don't seem too happy with it, do they?
No, and nor should they be. They put 3 years of their lives into this. I was actually sitting in the courtroom when that verdict came down, and I turned around. Behind me was Yuri Melish, the lead detective on the case, and he just looked dashed is the best word I could put to him. Just really devastated, and I think just shocked, too. I don't think they ever expected that the verdict would come down this way.
Really? They did seem shocked. A lot of people are upset, Gil, with the verdict, as you know. The investigators felt that they had to have this press conference to kind of like to defend themselves against all of these allegations against them, that they didn't do their job, etc.
No, I think the opposite of that. I think they were showing, first of all, frustration with the outcome of the case, but the fact that they had the confidence in the case that they did everything possible in that case. So they know they did everything. They feel good about themselves that they did everything. Yeah. But, you know, the question is, then what happened? So maybe they turn the case over to the DA. Maybe they're saying the DA didn't do enough or something, if that's the case. Okay,
now one tidbit to come out of this. Cindy Anthony may face perjury charges for allegedly lying about the computer searches for chloroform.
Yeah.
Where's that going to go?
Well, you know, I think they're going to look at it anyway, because she was at work at the time when that happened on the computer.
Right.
She didn't know how to spell chloroform. Neither do I, by the way, so I'll leave that up to you.
Okay. I actually can add to this, Joy.
Okay.
It's not going to happen.
No,
it's absolutely not going to happen. Well, for a number of reasons. Number one, my source inside the state attorney's office says no. That's the biggest part right there. They're the only ones who would launch that. The other thing is it's extraordinarily hard to prove that. When Cindy was on the stand, she said things like, I believe so, I think so.
Smart.
You have to prove intent. There was like one time, I think, when she made a definitive statement. But look, they don't like this case. They're not happy with this. This is not about revenge at this point. And going after that kind of a charge after Cindy at this point would seem like it might be kind of angry potatoes, and they're not going for it at this point.
It's interesting, though, what she's saying, isn't it, Gil? She's saying that Cindy Anthony is saying, I may have been, it could have been. And yet she seemed to be trying to protect her daughter from the electric chair, whatever they're using these days, you know? So it could be that Jose Baez told Cindy, this is how you say it, so they won't get you on perjury. Do you think that's possible?
There's no doubt about that. But, you know, did you see when she walked off after testifying, she walked over and she says, I love you to Casey, and she just looked away, like, you know, in disgust, like, I don't even want to bother with you. Doesn't want to talk to the mother or anything else. So it's frustrating for the family.
Well, you know, she owes her mother, if you ask me. Now, Sergeant John Allen said that George Anthony was never a suspect during the investigation. Pat, did that surprise you?
No, because that should absolutely be true, Joy. I mean, he wasn't. Casey was the only suspect. I think what's happening with this police conference is we're being politically correct right now, and everybody's ignoring the elephant in the room, which is the jury system, which has become an abomination. It really has. I mean, let's look at it. Let's say you were in college and you were doing your master's thesis or your dissertation for your PhD. Would you go down to the bus stop and get 12 people to come in with no notice and say, hey, look, why don't you judge whether my PhD dissertation's any good? We wouldn't do that in any other business. Totally unqualified, uneducated people.
So what do you want to have, professional jurors? Is that what you're driving at?
We need to start looking at other countries that have judge systems or some professional jury system, because we cannot continue to put people in there.
You know what, I gotta weigh in here, only because I have been to a lot of those countries where they just bag you with a black hood and take you out of your house for about 4 or 5 years without telling your family.
That kind of thing. You're going to the extreme.
There are other systems out there that have corrupt judges, and this is one of the best democracies in the world. I am a new citizen, so I'm one of the most pious out out there. But for anybody who goes after jurors, I have to take umbrage with that because they were in there for 2.5 months, sequestered away from their families, and it's hard. It's a hard job to do this. And
I agree with that. I'm not going after the jurors. I'm going after the. Wait a minute.
We don't.
We don't go after the jury system.
It's too late anyway.
One at a time, please. Yeah.
I'm going after the jury system.
It's too late, and they voted their way, and that's the way it goes. I mean, as the jury, you know, I don't even think they knew about the case. You know, they were interviewed. They didn't know about the case. Could you imagine never hearing about that? I know.
They're not supposed to know about the case.
I know, but I mean, you know, where are you that you don't know about the case? You know
exactly. So how many people lied?
Everybody needs to remember, you know, I spent 10 hours a day in that courtroom, and I have to produce a 2-minute piece at the end of the day. 10 hours of testimony, 2 minutes of broadcasting. It is a different aspect in a courtroom, and I just wish more people would understand the jury gets it all. We get a little. So it's not fair of us to judge them.
Not judging the jury, we're judging the jury system, and that's what I keep saying. It's not this. It's the fact that jurors may be doing the best they can, but these are people that you pull off the street. They don't have the background to do it. They don't understand evidence and law and everything.
I want to move on. The jury foreperson who hid his identity told Greta Van Susteren last night that part of the reason the jury acquitted Casey was because George Anthony seemed suspicious. Watch this.
That was not a discussion of ours when we got into deliberation as far as the sexual abuse. What was George Anthony's actions and his demeanor and, you know, the way that he presented some things up there on the stand. He had very selective memory for me, and that in itself was something that I always kept in the back of my mind. For every time that he got up there, I was just kind of on guard for that.
Actually, you were there, as you said, during the trial. Did George seem to have selective memory, or did he seem credible?
I was interested to hear that, because that's actually the words that Jose Baez used in his closings. I believe it was selective memory. I think for George's sake, after the last 3 years of whatever it is he's been through, he seems like a very... I hate to say this, but it's like a crafted man, almost like he's lost himself and now he's having to act like himself when he gets on the stand. And I can see why they saw that. I can see why they saw a man who now is very used to being on the stand after that many pretrial hearings and hates the defense attorney who's going after him. So I think they saw that acrimony.
Well, Pat, could George's so-called selective memory have been deliberate on his part?
It could be deliberate, but this is, again, the jury was not looking at Casey Anthony's selective memory and all the evidence that pointed in her direction. It's like they're trying George instead of Casey. And I understand that they may got confused by that, but that's the whole problem. They're doing their best, but they're not doing their best enough.
She never took the stand, so I guess they were at a loss in that way. They were at a disadvantage.
They had evidence. There's a massive amount of evidence in this case. It's one of the best circumstantial cases I've ever seen, and this is the problem. If you can't convict somebody on this much circumstantial evidence, then we've got a problem with our jury system. We're going to see this play out over and over again, and we do see it play out over and over again.
Well,
I
did see the judge.
There was lots of circumstantial evidence, but there was a lot missing as well. There was a lot missing when it came to premeditated or felony murder, and even manslaughter and those aggravated child abuse charges. It was really hard with the evidence that was given, and it was hard to find that evidence that something super nefarious happened that these jurors had to find.
I disagree, because of the duct tape over the face was the biggest piece of evidence there ever was, along with all the other things to go with it.
It wasn't proven to have been put on the face. All sorts of people did conjecture about that.
It just jumped on her face? What, how'd it get there?
It
just
wasn't
fell on her face?
No. Did you see the photographs? I saw the photographs, not the blurred ones that everybody on TV saw. I saw the real ones. Listen, there were lots of different ways. I'm not suggesting this is my opinion. What I'm saying is there are plausible explanations.
Ashley, did you think at the end of the day that she was not guilty, Ashley?
Well, there's a difference between not guilty and innocent, isn't there?
Well, yes, not guilty.
What I can tell you, as being a correspondent for ABC News, I can tell you that I did see a number of different ways that this story could have played out. And I can see how some people could arrive at one version and other people could have arrived at another version. Those jurors arrived at a version that very few people like, but it doesn't mean that our system didn't work. Just because a verdict is unpopular does not mean that justice didn't play out.
Right. Well, that seems to be the conventional wisdom at the moment with people who are looking at it objectively, I think. The system worked, and but you know, Ashley, one more question, and then I have to go. Baez confirmed that Casey's leaving town as soon as she gets out of jail. He doesn't say where she's going. Where do you think she'll go? And will she have to wear a disguise or get plastic surgery? Ashley?
You know, there are some reports out there that that's what she's going to do. I had a long conversation with Jose Baez last night. There was no discussion of that at all. But he is not saying boo about where she's going to go, and it's probably the best thing for his client. because there is a clear and present danger for her security. People want blood. There is bloodlust.
Yes, I know. Okay, thanks everyone very much. We'll have more on the Casey Anthony case when we return.